All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi's Stadium across the street, getting ready for joint practices between the Niners and the Broncos for the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show. Let's go full update on what we've already learned today on this Thursday. Happy August 7th, 2025. Big day for a lot of reasons for me. One, it is Dwight Clark Day. Dwight Clark was a friend. Dwight and I hung out from time to time, and I got to know him. And just to be able to say that Dwight was a friend is just so meaningful to me. And I miss him. And today's Dwight Clark Day, August 7th, 87. And there'll be a lot of people here honoring this guy. And, he was just all I can say to you guys who maybe never had the opportunity to meet him is just that DC was a special dude, man. Just a very special dude, and just had a great aura, a great spirit, and was so kind-hearted, and just a guy who was a great one, and he was taken way too soon. So, DC, I know you're up there, brother. I love you, man, and today is your day. We got a big practice today between the Niners and the Broncos. Their only joint practice before Saturday's tilt. And of course, Saturday, check us out Saturday on KMBR 2:30 pregame. It will be actually on 8:10 a.m. and 107.7 FM. Fitz and Keena and Dennis Brown on the call. And of course, Guy Haberman and Tim Ryan with Vern Glenn on the TV side on KPIX. But big practice today. It's going to be a great measuring stick for the young 49ers to find out how good are the Niner receivers. We're going to find out. These Denver corners are really, really good. How good are the Niner defensive linemen that are dominating in these one-on-ones going up against Quinn Miners in Denver's offensive line? Those are the two positions I'm really looking at. And also, how good is the Upton Stouts, the Jacob Robinsons, the young Niner DBs against Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Bo Nix, and this Bronco offense. So just some of the things we're looking for. Now, Mike Kliss from 9 News in Denver told me last night he doesn't expect Dre Greenlaw's going to practice. That's one of the things we'll be looking at as well, as this is a big return home for Dre Greenlaw, Mike McGlinchey, Talanoa Hufanga, some great, and DJ Jones, the great DJ Jones. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to DJ later on today. John Lynch stopped by this morning on the KMBR morning show with Brian Murphy and Marcus Boucher. And they asked him about Jauan Jennings, and he says, man, Jennings has a lingering calf injury, and that's why he's not out. Now, is it the calf? Is it the cash? I mean, we could play this game all day. Is it the cash? Is it the calf? Is it both? To me, it's probably a little bit of both. Matt Mayoko stopped by later in the morning with the boys and talked a little bit about his thoughts on it. And he mentions how Shanahan said when he talked to us last that the calf, quote unquote, shows up, which means that it shows up on some MRI, which means that that's kind of what proof that it's a legitimate injury. But the question is really to what degree, right? What degree is it the calf? What degree is it the cash? Is it nothing to do with the cash? Then there'll be no extension forthcoming, and we probably don't have to hear about any kind of discontent with his contract if it has nothing to do with the cash. If it has something to do with the cash, then we'll hear some update on his contractual situation. We'll find out. They're going to stay with it's the calf. I think they know that it's going to be a circus if he's out. If he's standing on the sidelines, it's this hold in. So they're going to go with, hey, it's not a holdout, it's not a hold in. It's an injury situation. Everybody's got to say what they believe. I personally believe that the contract is part of the reason that he's not here. I don't have any proof of that. That's just my sense of it. A couple other thoughts. John Lynch, came out and said that he uses smelling salts. I thought that was kind of funny. They were talking about George Kittle and how Kittle said, "I'll retire if the NFL will no longer let us use smelling salts. Okay, the clarification on this is that the NFL will no longer provide the smelling salts. They won't ban you from using them. So if George Kittle wants to use smelling salts on the sidelines, he's totally entitled to do so. It's just the league's not going to provide them. It's a big legality thing. He's going to have to provide his own smelling salts. Something tells me George will be able to afford it. Life will go on. Brandon Aiyuk's name came up today. Mayoko thinks it's highly unlikely that Aiyuk's going to return week 1. There's no reason in the world he should return week 1. He was hurt in week 7. It was an ACL, MCL, meniscus. It was a 3-parter. Usually, an ACL could be a year-long rehab. To have 3 things go wrong in the knee, that's a major blow up of your knee. And so what, this guy was going to come back less than a year out? I think, I know we're talking very, people are very positive and Aiyuk's feeling good, but he's likely going to start the year on the PUP, which means he's definitely out weeks 1 through 4. Then I think the window opens, but I don't think he's going to show up week 5 or week 6. I think it's going to be closer to week 10. I would say expect him by week 10. And then anything that happens, if he's there earlier, hey, let him surprise you. But I'd say it's going to be in that week 6 to 10 range, and probably closer to week 10. That's just my guess. Lynch was asked today by Murph and Marcus about how he would rank the rookies, and instead of running from it and saying, "Oh shucks, I rank them all the same and this and that, they're all my guys," he actually shouted out Upton Stout and Mikael Williams. And it's interesting, it's like Stout, no doubt. I mean, Stout would be on that list for sure. But I was surprised that he shouted out Mikael Williams. Now, Mikael Williams does look, to me, he looks like 2 different guys. Against the guard, he's overpowering. And when I talk, if you want to hear some real commentary on what he does to guards, listen to my interview that I did yesterday with Dom Pooney, where Pooney's like, yeah, when there's a lot of space in there, this guy's so athletic that he's really hard to block because he's got all kinds of athleticism, really long arms, great upper body strength, and so he's a handful for the guard. And especially if there's any kind of open space. In tight quarters, the guards got him. But in open spaces, he owns those guards and has in these one-on-ones. So against the guards, Mikael Williams to me looks like an impact guy. Like a guy who could really be good and impactful on 3rd downs. That's the best news, okay? But I got to be honest, in the one-on-ones when he's outside, I would say for every 4 reps he takes, at least 3 times he's stonewalled and neutralized by the tackle with relative ease. He's got a couple of, he's got a real strong arm that he works off of. He's got a little bit of a dip, but there's not a lot of advanced maneuvers or hand placement, or his feet and hands are not tied together, and he's often stonewalled. I saw Zach Johnson, who's not going to make this team most likely, totally stymie Mikael Williams yesterday in practice in the one-on-one. So against the guards, wow. Against the tackles, he needs a lot of work. But Lynch shouted him out today, Mikael Williams and Upton Stout, as his top rookies in this camp thus far. Couple thoughts from that Mayoko shared that I definitely agree with. Upton Stout, according to Matt, will likely beat out Trey Brown for that number 1 nickel corner job. I find that really hard to believe that Trey Brown could come back and get that job. Stout looks fantastic. I think he's the starter. I totally agree with Matt there. Murph asked Matt about Corey Kiner and the running backs a little bit, and Matt made a good point that we may not see the Niners' 2 top running backs, Christian McCaffrey or Guerendo, at any point in the preseason. This entire preseason could be the Corey Kiner, Jordan James, Patrick Taylor show in the backfield. So that's interesting. It'll be interesting. And Amir Abdullah, another guy, another running back that's in camp. So that's interesting. I think CMC and Guerendo could be absolutely a lethal explosive combo this year, but don't expect to see them much in the preseason. Guerendo, not at all. CMC, you might see just sparingly in the preseason. Matt also pointed out that today, Dee Winters has a pretty good sizable lead on Nick Martin, and I would totally agree with that. Dee Winters knows the defense, and he's in fantastic shape, and he's flying around, he's making plays. Martin's learning the defense. He's also in fantastic shape. But that's from the meaningless period to the meaningful period. And today and going forward is the meaningful period. What's happened to this point is valuable, but what happens from this point on is invaluable. Is more valuable, I should say, maybe. My point is just this. Yes, Dee Winters has the lead in this race against Nick Martin. But if Nick Martin outplays Dee Winters in the preseason going forward, that will mean more, I think, in this competition for who starts next to Fred Warner at that second linebacker position. So it's on, and it's on as of today going forward on that one. Murph was asking about Jason Pinnock, and Matt indicated that, yeah, Jason Pinnock, guys, is likely the Niners' starting free safety week 1. And, you know, he's an interesting guy. He played corner at Pitt, and then, you know, mediocre testing running times at corner, moved to safety, is got the football smarts. Then he hooked up with the New York Giants, and a couple years ago, Wink Martindale started using him up on the line of scrimmage, kind of the way Metellus is used in Minnesota as a blitzer. And now Pinnock, I think, is absolutely maybe the key pickup of the offseason. He's going to be all up on the line of scrimmage. He's going to give the Robert Saleh an ability to have a varied rush plan, to have a varied blitz package. This is a very smart football player that can do a lot of things at the line of scrimmage in your pressure packages. So, and he's got corner covering ability. So think about that. You've got an ability to affect the quarterback up front, and you've got the ability to cover the receivers down the field. There's a lot to like about Jason Pinnock. Watch for him this preseason. One issue that is propping up with the Niners that you have to keep your eye on is the defensive tackle spot. Evan Anderson's got a knee bruise. Givens has got a pec that it sounds like it may be serious. It's going to cause him to miss a significant amount of time. They're asking an awful lot out of Kalia Davis and Jordan Elliott. You know, two, you know, I don't want to call them journeymen because they're better than that, but they're two tackles who have yet to establish themselves as starters in the NFL. There's a lot of reps here at defensive tackle. The Niners worked out 4 yesterday. They'll probably announce a signing of one today. They brought in Bruce Hector. They've got rookies inside. Rookies can only play so many snaps. How many snaps can Collins play? How many snaps can West play? The 49ers, to me, the depth at defensive tackle, I think, is a major concern. And I'd like to see them add a player or two at defensive tackle, and maybe even a significant player. If they could find a significant player at defensive tackle, a significant addition, they could use one. And they're really thin there, and that to me is a major concern. And I think that's it. Those are all the notes for today. Check me out tonight for Niners Nightly at 6 o'clock. We'll do a whole review of the day here in Santa Clara between the Niners and the Broncos. JD's going to join me at 6:30 tonight. There may not be a guy that I like talking football more with these days than the great JD, John Dickinson. So check us out tonight. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. If we're sounding better today, I've got to say that it's all thanks to our good friends at Claudaddy Arcades. Claudaddy Arcades got me with this new wireless mic setup, so I hope we're sounding a little bit better. Check out Claudaddy Arcades, by the way, one of the great sponsors of the Krug Show, and Claudaddy's a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you, and he's got arcade locations opening this year in Capitola Mall and in Visalia Mall. So thanks to Claudaddy for the upgrade in the mic and all the tech stuff. We appreciate that a lot. And lastly, it's just lastly because I put it at the end, but it's obviously first in my heart, first in my mind. But today is August 7th, and on this day, 26 years ago, I said I do to my lovely bride, and what has come in the last 26 years has been nothing but joy. So honey, thank you for 26 wonderful years. Thank you for 4 beautiful children. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for standing by me in good times and in bad, richer or poorer. And I love you, baby.